Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It is Tuesday afternoon here in the Eastern Time Zone of the USA, 1817 Zulu on November 26, 2024. And this is Tuesdays with DX Engineering. Typically, this is a show where we have DX Engineering employees come on with me and we talk about what's going on at DX Engineering. Today, we have a special guest. It's Gregg W6IZT team and the team from 3 Delta 0 Yankee. Hello, Gregg.
Hey, Tim. How are you?
Good, good. Gregg, tell us what's going on out there.
Well, we're on the beautiful island of Rotuma. It's a pretty special place. It's one of the few places in the world that has not been impacted by commercialization. People will live here the same way that they did 100 years ago, with the exception is we have commercial power. There's no restaurants, no hospitality. A grocery store that opens on Saturday or opens on Friday and is closed the rest of the week. So it's a little bit of adjustment. It's a great place to operate from. As you can see in the background, that's the Pacific Ocean. We're right on the beach, and we're having a great time. Hasn't been without some challenges, but that's what learning experiences are built from, and the team has stepped up to and overcome every challenge that we've been presented with, and I'm really proud of them.
So, Gregg, tell us who you have in the shack there.
Well, I'll let them introduce themselves. Nathan?
My name's Nathan, K4NHW from Atlanta, Georgia.
Connor Dickey, Kilo Delta 9 Lima Sierra Victor, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, Lucas Bartkus, Lima Yankee 7 Juliet.
Hey, good afternoon, Dean Chapman, Whiskey 2 Fox Queen from Seekonk, Mass.
And Jamie Williams, M0SDD from Birmingham, UK.
Well, you've got quite a team there, Gregg. So how long have you been there? How are the bands and how many QSOs do you have?
Well, we've been here since we left the States on November 15th. I think we started setting up here on the...
We were on the 15th.
We were here on the 15th. We started setting up late on the 15th. We got on the air about the same day. We're on all bands, 160 through 6. Conditions have been up and down. It's a bit of a challenge from a location that's about 3,000 kilometers from any major population base. We've got about 20,000 Qs in the log. We had hoped to be doing a little bit better than that, but we've had a few challenges. With about 13 hours left in CQ Worldwide, an unforecasted storm blew in with about 60-mile-an-hour winds right off the ocean and took the roof off of our operating shelter. Fortunately, Jamie, M0SDV, was here in the shelter and was able to call out for help pretty quickly. The rest of the team was up at our sleeping quarters. We responded real quickly. We basically tore the entire station down, packed the equipment away, and came back the next morning and completely rebuilt the station.
So you managed to kind of weather the storm, let's say, but how much longer will you guys be there on the island and making QSOs?
We're going to be here until December 4th. We're probably going to start shutting down sometime on December 2nd. It's quite a bit of a logistics effort to get everything packed and sorted. The amount of equipment we can carry on the inter-island flight is very limited. So there's a process we go through to make sure that nothing is overweight. If it's overweight, it will not go on the plane, and we just can't have that happen. The maximum check baggage weight is 15 kilograms. We get one carry-on bag of 7 kilograms and one under-the-seat bag of 4 kilos. So we try to pack things as efficiently as possible. We're hopeful that we can get everything back to the States without having to ship anything back via air freight, because that's very expensive. The equipment we're going to leave behind, we're going to leave here for other amateurs that may want to pass through Fiji and save them the time, the expense of procuring all the equipment and shipping it out here. Our 6-meter Yagi is going to be given to Tony 3D2AG for use here on Rotuma, and the rest of the equipment will be shipped back to Fiji and will be staged in a location where other amateurs passing through Fiji, either to Rotuma, Conway Reef, or other destinations, will be able to make use of it.
So Greg, some of the team members, how about some highlights? How about some things that you didn't plan on, or some exciting parts that some of the guys have had out there?
Well, that's a really interesting question, Tim, and it's a series of answers. The electrical service here is supposed to be 240 volts, but at times it drops down as low as 145 volts. And you can imagine that our 220 volt equipment does not run very well on 145 volts. So that's been one challenge. We've also gone through 5 generators, and it's been quite a saga. The generator owned by our host failed a week before we got here. We procured another generator that we can run just a few hours a day. A third generator that was rated at 5 kilowatts that didn't even put out 500 watts. A generator that we leased or rented from someone who didn't have permission to rent it from his family and was here for a day. And finally, we've got hopefully our last generator, which is a really nice piece. It's a Husqvarna, and it runs real well. So it's been a little bit of a challenge. The weather here, 100 degrees or higher. It's exhausting to work in. In the shade, it's tough enough, but when we have to work in the sun, it's really a challenge. The other morning, I put up a pennant antenna for receive, and that morning I was tired already. And working in the sun, I think that our energy levels, our ability to accomplish things, is probably reduced by 60 or 70%. So that's been a big challenge for the team. It's taken us longer to do things than we anticipated. I've been to a couple of warm places in my DXpedition lifetime, and this by far is the toughest.
So Greg, how's the remote situation working out? That was part of the strategy, was to have a lot of remote operators.
Right. So we have 3 what we call the next gen ribs, and they've been running pretty much 24/7 when we have power available. We have 2 K3 based ribs and a K4 based rib that's paired with a KPA 500 watt amplifier. About 3 days into the trip, the remote ops had made 35% of the queues, and I let them know how proud of them I was, and I felt that they could step up their game a little bit. A day and a half later, they had made 50% of the queues that we've made. So it's a little bit of a back and forth between the local team and the remote island team, or the off-island team, and it's a lot of fun to see the energy, the focus, and the dedication that the remote island team is putting into this effort. We have had a total of 32 remote operators. I was just going through this morning from a number of different countries, from Philippines, Indonesia, Korea, South Korea, various countries in Europe, the US, of course, Argentina. So it's really been a nice blend. It's a nice multinational team, and they coordinate on a Slack channel. And I get on and look at it every once in a while, and they're communicating back and forth about what bands are good, what bands are not working, any issues that they're experiencing with the equipment, and managing the handoff. Each remote operator works a 1-hour time slot typically. So every hour there's a new op on. If there's a slot available, they can take 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever. But it's really impressive. Some of the remote ops have put up some serious QSO totals, and I'm really proud of those folks as well.
Boy, that's great, Greg. How about the DX engineering stuff out there? How's it working?
It's working perfectly, Tim. We appreciate your support and your generosity, because without it, we would not be having this conversation today. From coax to balance to chokes, everything that you provided has worked perfectly. and we put most of it to use. We're really we have a fairly confined location here, and we have, I think, 10 or 11 transmit antennas up, and we have enough chokes to choke at each feed point, and then when the feed coax comes into the shack, we put another choke in line as well. Interstation interference has been kept to a minimum. We have some filters that we put into effect, and they're working working great as well. The masts that you provided have been put into use for the low band verticals. We put everything to use that you provided. We've had to do a good bit of MacGyvering on this trip. I spoke to you about the last storm we had. We had a storm a couple days after we got here, and the surf really kicked up and washed one of our rib antennas into the ocean. Fortunately, Lucas was able to fish it out, and there was a remote and tuner attached to the base of the antenna, and it went for a swim as well. But we took it apart, we washed it, we dried it out, and we were able to bring it back to life. We've had some equipment failures, but we've been able to repair everything, and so we're moving along quite well. The team is gelled really well. Everybody has a skill set. Everybody is taking on responsibility. With a small team, it's difficult to get all of the expertise that you need. And we've got IT expertise. We've got folks that are very good at scheduling, operating. We've got good operators. Nathan is our medical guy, which has come in handy. It's a must on a trip like this. We've had a couple of scrapes and cuts and bruises and infections and the need to get some antibiotics. But it's great to have somebody on board who recognizes those needs and is able to treat them accordingly.
Oh, that's great. Greg, tell us what is the internet setup out there? How are you getting back?
We have a Starlink terminal, and it works very, very well. This part of the world, the coverage is not great. I mean, at times a day, the coverage is a little bit thin. Most of the time, it's very adequate. I checked the speeds a couple days ago, and we were getting about 300 megabits down and about 40 megabits up, which is more than enough bandwidth to support an operation like this.
Oh, that's great news. Well, listen, Greg, we're going to let you guys get back to it, get on the bands. You've only got a few more days. This is a really exciting DXpedition, and kudos to you and the on-island team, as well as the remote operators. It is quite a story, and we look forward to your safe return.
Thank you very much. So there's one more thing I'd like to add. We're dedicating this operation in the memory of Bob Alton, K4UE. Bob was a good friend of a number of us, a great mentor, a great DXpeditioner, and contributed to the hobby in many ways. So it's all about Bob.
Yeah, and I'm sure Bob would be very proud of the operation out there, Greg. So great job by all of you. And again, come back safely and get on the air and have some fun, okay?
Thank you for everything you've done for us, Tim.
Okay, and thanks to all of you for watching. And we're going to say 73 to the team in Rotuma at 3 Delta 2 Yankee. Until next time, 73 from DX Engineering.
73s.